Hello, it's Jay.
And Ray.
And we watched The Canal.
We finished watching The Canal just like we promised. We actually got something done in a timely manner. Turns out we'd actually already seen the movie.
We have already seen that movie.
We saw it on Netflix.
Yeah. Almost immediately when the movie started, we were like, oh.
Yeah.
Which I guess shows how many of these ghosty movies that we watch. Is that pretty specific summary on the back didn't even ring a bell? Does that say something about how much we watch, or does it say something about that movie that we forgot it? Okay, well, I guess that's...
Before we go into, like, spoiler talk, I would say that movie was pretty solid.
Not a bad movie.
Not a bad movie. Okay, now we're gonna go into detail and, like, talk about it officially, so if you want to stop, you can stop now. But, where to even start with that?
Well, let's do it like this. This was that movie where really the point of the thing is, are ghosts real or is this person going crazy?
Which, you know, is such a common trope.
But also it happens to be a thing that I really like.
Mm-hmm. And this was done pretty well.
It was done really solid. I feel like at the very last shot we just were talking about, at the very literally final shot of the movie, it was made pretty clear
that it was actually
there was some real ghosts going on. I definitely still think there was some psychosis happening, I think, but yeah, that final shot really kind of was the nail in the coffin.
So the summary for this movie is basically this dude works for an archival...
he's a film archivist.
And he finds some footage... Oh, he's given some footage to, like, take notes on, and it ends up being a murder in 1902 that took place in his house.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what, like, sets the whole
where he lives with his wife and their, like...
5-year-old kid.
Yeah, 4 or 5-year-old kid.
Yeah. I'd say it's pretty clearly 5. 5 years. Well, the first time we see them,
oh, you're right.
She's pregnant.
No, he's 5 years old.
And then it says 5 years old. No, 5 years later.
But so that means it could be 4 or 5. Anyway, yeah, he's a kid, and
so then basically he finds out that she's cheating on him, and then
she
disappears.
Dies.
She disappears, and no one knows anything. And then they drag this canal that they live next to and find her there. So then there's this whole thing about who did it, you know, and our main protagonist, David, is completely convinced that it is a ghost. It is the ghost of the person who did the murder in the house.
Yeah.
And then he just clearly goes through, like, a huge mental breakdown for the rest of the movie.
And the poor nanny, the kid stays, you know, pretty solid. Like, the kid never really gets that scared.
Kids are pretty chill. Kids are like, weird stuff's happening. Okay, but my dad's here, so he'll take care of me.
But the poor nanny.
But, man, nothing, like, terrible happened to her, but she's probably traumatized for a while.
Oh, yeah.
She gets locked in a closet for, like, 10 minutes.
Especially now that all 3 of them are dead by the end. Yeah. So what she thinks is that, well, no, maybe not. I was going to say what she thinks is that he killed his wife and himself and the son.
Which is...
But 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yeah, 2 out of 3. So, I mean, he did end up killing his wife.
And himself.
Whether or not that was done under demonic influence?
Maybe.
Because
apparently there was some, like, rituals involving baby blood. Or maybe that's part of the psychosis.
Like, we just really can't tell. We just know that at the end, there's very definitely ghosts.
At the very end, there's, if nothing else, ghosts are real in that house. Whether there was really stuff involving, you know, rituals and human blood sacrifice, who knows?
His, David's breakdown was so thorough and so complete that I really believe the haunting started with David. Like, he died. And he became the ghost in the house. He says to the little boy is going to live with his grandma at the end of the movie, and then he's like, "Can I get my dinosaur book?" And she's like, "Yes." And then he goes in, and he only sees the crack in the wall with David's eye, and David's the one that says, "Your mom's here. Do you want to stay here with us?" I think
all the other ghosts were not real ghosts with psychosis, but David was a real ghost because he was so thoroughly fucked.
Yes.
Oh, interesting interpretation. I really like it.
I just now thought of that. Like, the entire movie, I'm going, what the heck is going on? And now I'm all like,
because
that's totally what's going on.
You're totally right. At the very end, definitely... Well, really the only thing we know for sure is the kid was a real ghost at the end.
Yeah.
I like your interpretation that finally just David and the kid were the real ghosts. Oh, poor kid.
Right?
So the movie was shot really beautifully.
And they had some really good lighting.
Occasionally a little over-the-top lighting. But the actual filming was good. Some good editing, some maybe a little heavy-handed editing.
Mm-hmm.
Good performances, except for the kid. But he's a kid, so I'll forgive.
Yeah,
But all the grown-ups were good actors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were.
Well, I still can't get over Alice. Alice was the wife. Alice is having an affair, and that's the whole reason she's killed. And then at her funeral,
oh, man,
her mom is all like worried about Alice's lover and about how he had a breakdown after her death and apparently had to be hospitalized. And I'm like, dude, you're gonna tell that to her husband that she was cheating on?
That was messed up.
Like, what is wrong with you? But,
that's the lady who was gonna get custody of the kid,
right?
too. Good thing he's dead now. Better ghost dad than that lady.
I don't know. Ghost Dad was pretty crazy. But I mean, how much more crazy can you be?
Speaking of Ghost Dad, we should watch Ghost Dad.
You're a Ghost Dad?
You don't have a Ghost Dad?
Maybe I do. like you said that, and I was like, no. And then I was like, wait.
I feel like I might have been Bill Cosby. Was it Bill Cosby?
Maybe.
I think it was. Alright, on second thought, forget Ghost Dad.
Right.
Anyway.
But other things that stood out to me in the movie. I really liked the figures, like the way they made their ghosts, quote unquote, move.
I liked it for the most part, but there was one shot where she was like on the floor, face down, and was like sliding forward.
Which very much reminded me of the wet mop.
Exactly, like the wet wig. It's a wig, not a mop.
It looked like a mop.
No, it was like a wet wig. It was supposed to be hair. It was this wet wig crawling across the floor. But no, what it was is like she was on the floor. The actress was on the floor.
Sliding instead of...
Well, yes, that's what it looked like. But what was going on is the actress was on the floor and someone was pulling her feet, sliding her backward, and they reversed that film. It looked dumb. Other than that...
See, I don't know enough about cinematography and stuff to know that, but I just knew it looked dumb.
Other than that, the movement and the ghost design was pretty good.
Like, I mean...
Oh, and let's talk about childbirth.
Oh. Okay, so...
You know a YouTube video is going downhill when they say, let's talk about childbirth.
God. Alright, so when we first turned this movie on, I remembered, like, every single plot point of the movie except for one. And
it wasn't really a plot point, but it was an image.
But it was a thing. Like it's something you shouldn't really forget. But anyway,
it turned out that when Alice died, she was pregnant, unbeknownst to anyone. And so later, in like the big scary climax of the movie, David's underground, going through tunnels.
Underground, through tunnels.
And seeing ghosts.
And then like in this room, he sees his dead, drowned wife. And she just, like, gives birth to this dead, drowned baby.
And it's graphic.
It's gross.
See everything. We see childbirth. We see ghost childbirth.
Which, you know, is really startling because, you know, most movies don't go there because women's parts are scarier.
Of course, this was
ghosts.
an Irish-Welsh movie,
True.
not an American one.
True facts. So I appreciate, like I was surprised that they went there, but that's just
because women are allowed to have genitalia.
Wow, really?
Ooh.
That's a whole other video.
I've seen that video.
Oh God. No. Okay, so I would give it a solid B. Like B minus, maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Like, it wasn't a bad movie.
You're right. It didn't
do anything that surprised me.
It doesn't deserve a C. B minus sounds about right. The plot was nothing special, but it was very well made, mostly. And
David was likable. I felt like until he like completely went off the rails. I mean,
no, even when he was totally off the rails, I liked him personally.
And
he was just losing his shit.
Especially in horror movies, like I either really want to hate the person that all this stuff is happening to, so I can like feel victorious that horrible things are happening to them. I'm a bad human being, by the way. Or
you want to empathize.
I want to like really empathize and like see this person in this situation and be like, God, that sucks, you know? And David very much hit the...
He was trying.
You were trying and things are just screwing you over.
He just had a huge fucking mental break because of shit.
Yep. And I mean, who really hasn't? Like when you're faced with a life-changing thing. Now, of course, I'm of the opinion that, you know, a cheating wife is whatever, divorce her, like, confront her, don't kill people over it. But I
had a mental break, and like the combination of that happening and learning that his house was murder house, it was just too much. Poor David.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any other thoughts?
Not really. I mean, it was a pretty by-the-numbers movie.
I wouldn't say there was any big surprises in it. I wasn't expecting graphic depiction of childbirth.
There we go. There's our warning.
But because it was not an American horror movie, they can do stuff that you wouldn't see in an American horror movie.
If you don't want to see a demonic baby being born, and if you don't want to see a woman being murdered again...
And a poor nanny really being scared out of her mind.
Oh, and a second woman being murdered. Claire. Claire was actually murdered.
So she was. Sad. I liked her.
2 out of 3 of our main women die. And then 1 has a bit part. So if you like your women in your horror, this is probably not a great movie.
Yeah.
But on the other hand... This movie did have a trailer for Starry Eyes, which made me a lot more interested in it than the Netflix description.
Right, we had both seen Starry Eyes on Netflix described and both passed over it dozens of times.
Even though it's like rated super high for me.
But the trailer was in front of this movie we just watched, and it really kind of made me want to watch it.
Yeah.
So...
I guess that's going to be on the list.
Maybe we'll do that. Other thoughts about the Canal? I liked the cop. He was like, it's always the husband, and you know what? It was the fucking husband.
He was like, you know why people always think it's the husband? Because it's always the husband.
Yeah,
and he tried really hard to save the little boy. He thought he saved the little boy. I wonder how he felt when he learned that he had jumped out into traffic and died.
He had saved the little boy. Then the little boy killed himself.
Isn't that the worst? That poor cop.
Yeah.
He's gonna go home and drink.
Yeah.
But he was cool. Like he wasn't.
He was chill, and he knew exactly what was going on.
He was chill and he was sharp.
Yeah.
He was sharp. So I liked him.
I liked the cop, who probably had a name, but I don't know it.
Detective.
I remember 4 names. I remember David, Alice, Claire, and Billy. What was the nanny's name? Something. It doesn't matter. Whatever.
I don't know.
Okay, any other thoughts?
I remember Alex,
about
the lover.
This movie, yeah?
Right. No, I think that's it. It was just a fun little time waster.
Was it fun?
Well, thinking back to when I first watched the movie, it engaged me enough.
It was engaging, but we were really in David's mind with him while he was, going nuts. And it was not, like, a fun watch.
No.
Like, it's not a fun... eat popcorn, have a blast Freddy Krueger movie.
Right. It's more of a...
It's a shit's going down and nobody's having a good time sort of movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, well, thank you for watching this. We'll make an effort to do more reviews. But no promises because we're bad at that.
We do have a lot of fun doing it. It's just... Sometimes we don't have a lot to talk about, and then sometimes we just keep blabbering on about other things that are unrelated.
But then again, we thought we didn't have anything to talk about, and here we're almost at 15 minutes.
That's true. Alright, well, that teaches us. We should just talk in front of a camera and see what comes out.
Yep. Alright, well, this was our review of The Canal. Tell us what you thought of that movie in the comments, if you feel like doing that thing.
Alright.
Thanks again for watching. Goodbye.
Have a good night. Bye.
It might not be night for them.
Well, it's night for us.
So good night.